So I just finished my carnivore diet breakfast of bacon and eggs and sausages. Sausages are not entirely carnivore, of course, or English sausages aren't, but I don't care about that. They're a high percentage of meat, the ones that I have. Very tasty, I must say. And I might have started mentioning this when I was talking of Norwich, but I started smoking a pipe in Norwich because I like to smoke herbal remedies of various types, and or to take them rather to ingest them. I find that more appropriate. But it was going to be difficult. It was very, very hot, and I couldn't see a practical way of proceeding. And it came to my mind something which I've been wanting to do for a while, that I could purchase a pipe of the old-fashioned type, where you put tobacco in. And I did that. I got one online quite cheaply. And then the very next day, or in the next day or two, I went to the supermarket and asked for some pipe tobacco. I had no idea what to ask for. And the young lady suggested a pipe tobacco called Blue Ridge, which was the cheapest one. And she said many people purchased it. And so I bought Blue Ridge, which I've later, it appeared, it was more of a cigarette tobacco than a pipe tobacco. And I started smoking various mixtures in my pipe and found myself enjoying it greatly, actually. And so when I went to Norwich, I became a bit of a pipe smoker. I would retire to a park bench and spend half an hour perhaps, or so on, perhaps a bit less, just puffing on my pipe and contemplating the world as it passed by. It's such an enjoyable activity, and I was very drawn to it. And when I returned to Birmingham, I continued, of course, because you like something and you do it more. But then I began to understand that pipe smoking is not really very good for me anyway at the moment, because I have gum problems, and it stains your teeth. And your breath starts to become fetid, I suppose, with all the smoke. And I realized I was in a bit of a quandary, because I found nicotine to be very, very addictive. I was a smoker all of my life, and nicotine had been removed, I think, by God, because I got a message, and from that day onwards I never touched it. I never touched rolling tobacco, which is what I used to smoke. And that condition persisted for many years, with no regret, really. It was just removed from me. And so now here I am, 7 or 8 years from that day, or perhaps even longer, and smoking a pipe and using the tobacco, which was called Blue Ridge, is more of a rolling tobacco, I discovered subsequently. So smoking that self-same tobacco and exposing myself to that self-same devil, you could call it. It's a demon, because it takes possession of you and it binds you. This is the problem with tobacco. It's not a question of smoking. It's a question of the bondage that it can bring you under. And so I began to wonder. Well, I thought, well, I'll just stop. And I decided to stop. And of course, the next day I just continued smoking. And I thought, hello, I've been here before. I know this. You'd make a decision, and then, of course, some inner force or some physical parameter comes in, and you just can't seem to maintain your word. And that's not good, because it weakens the spirit when you say you'll do something and then don't do it. So I meditated, and well, I suppose I prayed about it to some extent. My words are really addressed to the Lord. I don't have anybody to speak to apart from the Lord and anybody who's listening here. And so the upshot was that I decided to start drinking again. prior to my path of enlightenment, I was drinking whiskey quite regularly and really to excess. And when I embarked on the path, I stopped. It was removed from me, and the bottles were sealed in my house. But I realized that I could switch my addiction to whiskey, which was at the moment, I would say, less harmful, and it would enable me to get over this temporary setback. And so that's what I did. And so now I drink a little bit of whiskey every day. I don't think I've got to the excess just yet, but of course it's not carnivore. But I find that I've managed to overcome the nicotine addiction. It's not really affecting me, and I realise that I can actually just keep the pipe in the drawer, and maybe one day there'll be a time when I'll smoke a pipe. Why not? It's a very enjoyable thing to do, but like everything, you don't want to be doing it 24/7, really, do you? It would be too much. Like driving Teslas and doing other annoying things and having dogs. We've got to dose it out a little bit, surely. So my plan, is to overcome one addiction with another, which exerts. Alcohol I've never felt bound by the power of alcohol, whereas nicotine had me in its grip all of my life. I just enjoyed smoking so much, and I suppose I was addicted to the tobacco. I now chew Nicorette gum from time to time, and that was something I didn't do for a long time, but latterly I became persuaded that it would be beneficial, and so I do that to sharpen my focus. You could say that I'm addicted to it, I suppose, but I don't think I am, because the Lord will free us from all these things, from all these addictions. And the carnivore diet actually frees from addictions. It's known for it because it works on a cellular level and it goes into the body, and it's almost as though it's a consciousness that creeps in, or that parades in, perhaps, if it's a godly consciousness. And it seems to heal these fractious problems. God bless.